And yeah, I guess we can move on from that to talking about Shokugeki no Sanji then.
Yes, Shokugeki no Sanji. This is a special one-shot that the Food Wars authors Yuto Tsukuda and Shunseki have drawn to commemorate the 21st anniversary of One Piece and 50th anniversary of Shonen Jump in general. Just a special little project about Sanji, who has had years of focus. The year of Sanji ballooned to years of Sanji, and even after the whole Kick Island arc ended, it's still the year of Sanji, I guess. Will it ever end? But in any case, Shokugeki no Sanji takes place before we are introduced to Sanji in One Piece, during his time at the Baratie. And so a snobby food critic comes to the Baratie, and she thinks that the food of the Baratie is an insult to gourmet taste everywhere. She refuses to even eat it. She insults Sanji, thinking he's just a waiter. You know, they're worried about her because she is a famous gourmand, even on the Grand Line, and people call her the tongue that spans the seas. And so they're worried that if she gives a bad review of the Baratie, you know, that will doom the Baratie. It'll ruin its reputation. Patty and Karn take up the challenge at first. So like, oh, can you serve me a dish that looks, you know, in any way good? And because she thinks that only true gourmet, you know, needs to be made with luxury ingredients and stuff. You know, she's very much a Food Wars antagonist that way. She kind of goes Sanji on and insults Zeph and, you know, for having like a cheap rundown excuse for a restaurant. So that pisses Sanji off because she's insulted Zeph's honor. And so he goes to prepare the dish himself, and he makes really cool looking lobster dish that is, of course, made of a fictional lobster called the tomahawk lobster. And we get two, basically, Food Wars, food orgasm images. And one is, like, just Savarine in her normal form. You know, she's just, you know, still her big fat self. And, like, yeah. So basically, you know, they explain all the jargon about how Sanji, you know, made the fish taste so good. But the point of it is that just, you don't need gourmet ingredients to make a good dish. You know, pretentious dishes like she talked about, you know, the Baratie can make them. But, like, what their goal is to just provide good and filling food to anyone who comes there. And that is their ethos as a restaurant. And so she had no right to insult it. And so Sanji tells her to clean her plate. And then the build up to like the final foodgasm is pretty great because it plays off the idea of a devil fruit in a fun way. It feels as though I'm being reborn from the inside out. It's so good that it feels like I've had a taste of a delicious fruit, a forbidden fruit that changes a person completely, granting them new and amazing powers. A devil fruit, the strip fruit. And so that was pretty funny, a lot of fun. And then, yeah, that's basically the chapter. And then it ends with Seth thinking, Sanji's grown a lot. He might have outgrown this little restaurant, which sets up, because at the end of the chapter, they see the Straw Hat ship arriving. And so this is giving the idea, so, you know, Sanji's actions here, the dish he served the Sovereign, might have been kind of what inspired Seth to think about, you know, convincing Sanji to leave the ship and explore the world. So that was like a nice little touch, a nice little tie-in to, you know, Sanji's arc in One Piece, and especially like Baratie, the arc in general. So, yeah, it was just it was a fun little chapter. It's basically a Food Wars chapter. You know, Sanji behaves kind of more like Soma than I feel like he behaved like Sanji from early One Piece. But it works because their ethoses as chef is similar enough. I never felt like this wasn't Sanji. And I guess another cool thing about it is this is the return of cool Sanji. Sanji is like a cool, awesome kind of character. And because I feel like in One Piece in recent years, Sanji as a character, he's he doesn't have that swagger he had in early One Piece that, kind of made him like the cool guy of the group. Nowadays, I think of him more as a goofier character, a character with a lot of heart, but I never think of him as like the cool badass like he used to be, I feel, in early One Piece. And this chapter has that in spades.
I was going to say, we have people like Trafalgar Law for that nowadays, even though he hasn't really been around, but still, my point still stands. Yeah, I thought this was a really fun, like, little thing. And like you said, I really appreciate kind of the connection to, like, the actual, like, Baratier arc and how this kind of is basically the catalyst for Zeph thinking about basically trying to convince Sanji to get out on his own and whatnot. So I really like that connection there. And, it's been, like, said a million times online, so this isn't really anything new. But I mean, damn, Sanji looks hot.
Yeah.
Shun Saiki, like, really took the time to draw Sanji as attractive and as hot as possible. Like, it takes him, like 2.5 pages to, like, take off his jacket. It's just,
yeah.
I love stuff like that. I love how hot he can draw Sanji, but, like, he still does a really great job of, like, drawing Sanji more, like, whimsically with a more, like, kind of, like, innocent look in his eyes, like.
Yeah, again, very Soma-like expressions they came across to be.
But, yeah, I really like this take on, I guess just kind of on One Piece in general. Like, I think certain, like, character designs, like, Patty and Carne, like, in particular, like, they don't look, too out of place in, like, the Food Wars style. They look very, like, rough and grizzled and chiseled. Like, they look really good too. Like, somehow, like, Patty's, like, Popeye arms, they don't look, like, super grotesque or anything. Cause, like, Saiki's style, his art obviously is a lot more, like, realistic compared to Oda's as far as, like, I guess human anatomy goes. I like how those features, when they translate to a more realistic and more grounded style, they don't look, like, out of place or grotesque. And, like, I just love this take on the Baratier staff as far as the arc goes. And, I mean, like you said, it was basically a Food Wars chapter, but I mean, like, it was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun reading it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's really nice to see cool Sanji, and he, again, Seiki's art is just super good, and makes him look super hot and cool, and yeah, that's basically it. It's just Sanji's awesome in this chapter, and it's just nice to see cool Sanji like this again. Like, it's nice to have this kind of moment from Sanji, to see a story about Sanji like this, because we haven't. Like, even in the Whole Cake Island arc, he didn't have a moment like this where he cooked a dish and he had this moment where it was like explaining, this is my ethos as a chef. He didn't have that in the Whole Cake Island arc, and that's one disappointment I had with it.
I know, because you have stuff in this chapter, like, he's constantly, like, trying to tell Savareen, like, hey, you should really, like, clean the food off your dish, and, like, I, like, just, like, little nuances in his character like that, I feel like we don't really get a chance to revisit at all, because, like, I mean, obviously they're not super relevant, but, like, I really miss the days when, like, where Sanji got to show off those nuances where it's like, again, he's very, I don't want to say obsessed, but, like, that's kind of his golden rule is, like, hey, you want to, like, be sure to eat everything off your plate. Like, he doesn't like wasting food, obviously, because of, like, because of his backstory and whatnot. But, like, just stuff like that, and, like, just like I miss the nuances like that in his character, because I feel like Sanji is just, in a way, he's such a different character now compared to what he was at the beginning, that, like, I don't want to say he's, like, a completely different character, but he doesn't feel the same to me. Like, I feel like this was a great return to form for Sanji, but it's unfortunate because, it kind of took this chapter to really kind of, I guess, revisit those again. Like, I wish we had a chance to revisit these in, like, the actual series.
And it's also revisiting him at a point before we're introduced to him in the series proper. Like, this all takes place before the Straw Hats even meet him.
Yeah. It just really showcases, like, how much more interesting he was, like, at the start of the series compared to now.
I don't think he's any less interesting. I think Whole Cake did a big job of bringing Sanji back to form as a character, but I think that one thing that has still been lost about Sanji is his ethos as a chef, like how his feelings about food and cooking translate into his personality and his beliefs. So I feel that has been lost in the wayside for the chivalrous aspect of his character, which has taken more dominance and was more the focus of Whole Cake than even though Whole Cake there was a lot of food related things in that arc that could have, really allowed Sanji to take advantage of, his cooking. They didn't really end up doing a whole lot with why that is a huge part of his character, I feel. It was more about honor than about, like, I believe in, this is what I believe in, that, about food and what it means to people.
Yeah, see, and that's my thing, too, is that, like, he wasn't necessarily, like, terrible in Whole Cake. I agree with you. Like, I think Whole Cake was a great step up for his character compared to what we had been getting from him, like, previously, especially since, like before the very beginning of, like, the time skip and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, Triller Bark kind of it was where, like, the decline really happened, I think, because...
I would even argue, like, Enies Lobby, actually.
Maybe, but, like, when Oda gives him a stated goal that he wanted, like, that invisible fruit so he could, like, spy on ladies and stuff, that was like, oh my god, what are you doing with Sanji? That is crossing a line. Like, he's not supposed to be a pervert. He's supposed to just be chivalrous. What are you doing, Oda? You're misunderstanding your own character.
Like, and that's the thing. I'm fine with him, like, fawning over women, because, like, that could be kind of an endearing trait, because, he just likes women. Okay, like, you can do that and not be creepy about it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he used to not be. He used to be a gentleman, but now he literally has to get a blood transfusion because his nosebleed upon seeing a mermaid, causes him to lose so much blood that he needs a blood transfusion. It goes too far. It went too far.
Yeah, he's basically, Sanji's gone through, like, a real Flanderization of his character where it's like, oh, here's this one trait, let's just make him, like, 90% all about that. And it's like, that's what bothers me about his character so much nowadays. Even though, like I said, I agree that I think he had good moments in Whole Cake, and I think he had while I don't think it was executed, like, as well as it could have been, I think he had a decent enough character arc in Whole Cake, but, like, yeah, I just don't think he has not gotten back to what he used to be fully, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. You know what this chapter really reminded me of, actually, was one of my favorite episodes of the One Piece anime, which is actually a filler episode, which is taking place during the G8 arc, where Sanji is challenged by the head chef of G8, to do a cooking contest, basically, to feed these soldiers, basically, a bunch of soldiers a hearty meal using whatever resources they had. So Sanji lets, like, her staff have the first pick, and so they choose, of course, all the finest ingredients, all the juiciest ingredients. And basically all that's left for Sanji afterwards is just a bunch of scraps. But Sanji uses those scraps and he takes them and makes an incredibly delicious meal. A meal more delicious than the head chef's entire staff could make or made. And all the soldiers who eat it just absolutely love it. And it just shows, like, this is what Sanji's ethos is, There is no such thing as bad food, or, like, it doesn't matter how many high quality ingredients you have. It's about how you use those ingredients. And at the end of the day, what makes a good meal is not the so-called quality level of the ingredient, but like the flavor, the enjoyment had by the person eating it. And so Sanji emphasizes like what these soldiers needed in terms of like, you know, nutritional value and what their tastes would be like. And he takes all that into account while preparing this meal out of, you know, what is supposed to be scraps, like the very least, you know, resources he had available. And it, you know, that's why it's one of my favorite episodes, because like it's just such an awesome example for Sanji as a character that he, you know, he doesn't, and why he is, and what his, you know, ethos is as a cook. Again, it's just, I really like that aspect of Sanji's character, and I'm really sad that, you know, it's been lost in the series proper for so long. And yeah, again, that's why I really like this one shot, because it was a throwback to that, something that was very integral to his character that, you know, I've been missing for a long time.
I think that's why I enjoyed this chapter so much too, was because, yeah, it was just a reminder of like why, like, I think so many people fell in love with Sanji as a character from the beginning. And, you know, I still hold out hope that, you know, he's been getting better, but I'm still holding out hope that one day, you know, we could start focusing on aspects of his character that are way more interesting than his chivalry or his, you know, or his horniness, you know, like I'm still holding out hope. I'm still optimistic.
I think Sanji rebounded as a character quite a bit during Whole Cake. I would definitely say that in terms of post-time skip character development, he's in the lead of the pack in terms of how the rest of the Straw Hats have been handled post-time skip, because I don't think any of the other Straw Hats have really received as much development as Sanji did in Whole Cake.
Yeah, not really, but I would also argue that I think Luffy has at least gone through like a very subtle development. I feel like he's kind of different, but
Luffy has been consistent and has, you know, benefited the most from being in focus for every arc and, you know, the entire course of the series.
Yeah.
I think that 2-year time skip, well, not the 2-year time skip, but I think the 2 years where the Straw Hats were not a part of the story, and it was just Luffy and other characters during the Impel Down and Whitebeard War arcs, you know, I think that did disservice, that was to the detriment of the other Straw Hats, because I feel like when they came back post-time skip, Oda reduced them to their basis parts, but did not provide them with the same amount of compelling character development focus as he had previously done in, you know, the pre-time skip arcs.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that the Straw Hats, that during entire arcs, we only have half the crew for the arc, and the other half is just not in the story. I think that has done a huge disservice to a lot of the Straw Hats as characters.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Shokugeki no Sanji was good.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I want more one-shots by other authors about One Piece characters that kind of give us a nice throwback to their early days, you know? I would like to see one-shots for basically all the Straw Hats, you know? I don't know what kind of pairings would I think up of for one shots for the other characters.
I don't know. That's a really tough one. Oh man, I would love to see maybe like Kohei Horikoshi's take on One Piece. Maybe I think that could be kind of fun.
Horikoshi, Frank. I feel like, well, I guess I was gonna say Frankie, because I feel like, I don't know, there's something, I feel like that character would be in spirit of something Horikoshi would be good at, like, making a good story around, but then he could also, like, make a Chopper Man one shot, I guess.
Oh, that would be great.
I guess that's more directly superhero related.
Maybe Sriracha could do like a one shot involving like Zoro or Mihawk or something, something, or maybe even like I don't know, just something samurai related. I think would be up his alley. Maybe do like a prequel one shot about Zoro or something. Maybe have him getting into like different shenanigans. I think that could be funny.
Yeah, I think that Inagaki and Boichi could probably do something fun with Robin and her love of archaeology.
Ooh, yeah, that would be great, actually. Yeah, so there are like a ton of possibilities. I doubt they'll probably do any more, but like, I would love to see more like this. I would just love to see like different authors from Jump and their take on any One Piece character in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even outside the main cast, like, we could do stories about Ace or other side characters. So, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be good.